Hey, are there any plans on making a video about quality and luxury while showing a few pieces? Yeah, so because I obviously posted that clip from my live stream where I was just talking about, it was kind of like an intro to what a quality fabric is and why it isn't as easy as just saying, oh, cotton is better than nylon and nylon is better than, another fabric. It's not that straightforward. There's more nuance to the conversation. A lot of people then said, oh, it would be great if you made a video about, quality, what's a quality fabric, what brands are quality. However, I'm like on the fence if I should do it, because if I have a, I don't know, Yoji piece and it's really good quality and I'm like, oh guys, look, this is an example of really good quality, it doesn't really mean much, because like I've said, and I said it in the last live stream, a quality garment can change. So just because Yoji has good quality this season doesn't mean they will next season. Unless they use the exact same factory, the same process, they're on top of the fabrics being used, they make sure it's produced the same way. Most brands they don't have that much intent when they design. They're like, okay, that's a cool, decent enough fabric, and then they use it. Most brands don't think about it that deeply. So you just have to be careful, and it's a constant process of discernment. So it's really hard for me to like show guys a piece of clothing and be like, oh, this is really good quality. Because what's going to happen is someone's going to buy that brand and then the seams are going to rip and then they're going to be like, but you said this brand is good quality. And it's like, no, I said this specific piece. But people like to take what you say and then change what you meant. You said Yoji's great quality. Why did my jacket rip? It's your fault. Let's see. Then how do you differentiate what has or doesn't have quality? Like, just check every time. Is there no... Yeah, there's no golden... So a golden standard of quality does not exist, because brands are fickle and brands all have different goals. So I just judge it on a case-by-case basis. I don't even think of it like, oh, this brand makes good quality stuff, this brand doesn't. Because even brands that we say have good quality, let's say The Row. The Row is known for having good quality, but there are still The Row pieces to me that I'm like, ew, that quality is terrible. So it just depends on the product and it depends on the season. Even Hermes, everyone's like, Hermes. There's still some stuff that Hermes does that I'm like, if you were to go to the Tuscan region in Italy and get a custom leather bag made, it would be better quality than an Hermes bag. But because it's just marketing and branding, like Hermes is seen as like the gold standard of quality. It really isn't. There are so many low-key brands that I think make things that are way better quality than Hermes, but it's just how it's perception. It's perception. So yeah, I wouldn't look at any brand as like gold standard every single time they make good quality things. You just have to judge it on a case-by-case basis. It just depends. It really, really just depends. Would you ever make a series on how to tell quality of clothing from initial feel, look, and manufacturing, because you have a lot of knowledge? I'd love to learn more. Yeah, I'm working on it, because this is starting to become the most requested thing on my channel. Like, just to talk about the quality of clothes and stuff. But it would have to be so detailed. I'd have to probably like go to a factory and go through that whole, even down to the process of how things are treated, so you guys can see it. Because I've seen these things, like when I've worked for brands and we've gone to the factories where things are being produced. But yeah, I don't even know how possible it is if factories will let me film their process. Because I would want, the good factories would, because it's a good advert and they know that they're doing things the right way. So they would be like, yeah, come and film. But the bad factories, which I would want to film because you need to contrast, I would want to show you the difference between when you treat a garment badly versus when you treat it well. But the bad factories obviously wouldn't let me in. Because that's how fashion is. You only see the good, not the bad. I stopped buying designer goods until I find something that's guaranteed to stay in my wardrobe for a minimum of 3 years. Yeah, exactly. Like, I genuinely can't remember the last time I sold one of my like garments that I own. Like, all of them, I buy them with the understanding that I'm going to keep them for years and years and years. So that's a good way to look at things, like things that you would want to wear for years and years. That's a good way to look at it. Is it true the modern Chanel bags are going for a higher price and low quality? Oh yeah, that's 100% true. That's not even down for debate. So before 2008, Chanel flat bags used to be, it was like a metal plated with 24 karat gold. Post 2008, they started using like gold toned metals and stuff to cut costs. So all the hardware now has no real gold on it. So yeah, and the not just the gold, that's like one thing. Even the construction, the quality of the leather is going downhill. So everything about the Chanel bags are going downhill. So yeah, it's the quality of the modern Chanel bags right now are quite terrible compared to in the past. That's why pre-Chanel bags are always in high demand. Like when you look at, there's a big secondhand market for pre-2008 Chanel bags. Like it's a big thing. Like people that are into bags will tell you. My mother's Chanel bags from the early 80s to 2000s have real gold hardware. Now apparently they use gold tone. Enough said. Yeah, fact. Like it wasn't, by the way, when I say they were using real gold, because I saw a comment alluding to this, they weren't using pure gold. That would be so expensive. It's just real gold plated, but it's like really good quality because it's really good gold. It's real gold on the bags. But now there just isn't any real gold. But it's not just the gold that we have to think about and the hardware. It's the actual, everything about the bag. The stitching is worse. The leather is worse quality. The leather is less rigid. It frays easier. All these things. Like it's the whole Chanel bag in general is just worse quality. It's not just the hardware. It's the whole thing from beginning to end. Chanel bags are horrible. Plenty of YouTube channels of them cutting them up, and literally cheaper bags are better quality. And the older Chanel bags are made much better. Yeah, exactly. Not all silk button downs are created equal. If you get me, materials only tell you so much about the garment, and it's not much. Trial and error is my quality check. Yeah, I talked about this, of course, that there are so many different factors that determine the quality of a garment. So just because something is silk doesn't really mean much to me, because, okay, then it becomes, how was it dyed? Was it damaged further in the dyeing process? How was it treated? Was it damaged further in the treating process? What's the thread count? There's so many different factors that will determine how good of a quality the garment is, or the fabric. So it's not just because it's like, oh, but it's full silk, it's like great quality. Not really. With silk, I learned there's mom count, which is weight count per area, but I don't know if it informs quality. So it does inform quality. It's just a factor. So this is how I can describe it. Essentially, if you have a silk fabric, one silk fabric might not have as high as a weighted count per area, but then it was treated so well, and it was dealt with so well in the dyeing process and every single process, that by the end of it, you have a fabric that is better, with a garment that, yes, it has a better weighted count per area, but they absolutely decimated it, destroyed it in heat during some of the treatment processes. Because people don't know, applying a lot of heat to a lot of fabrics damages it. But it's easier to like clean things and process things with a lot of heat. So like cheaper brands will just chuck everything in in the treatment process, and like these like hot cauldrons and stuff when they wash it, and it damages the fabric and it causes fabrics to shrink and stuff. So it comes down to how they deal with it. So then you have to compare and contrast. So with fabrics, I'll just put it this way. With fabrics, there are multiple different factors that determine the quality. So it could be the thread count, it could be the treatment, it could be the dyeing process, it could be many things. Obviously, the more of these factors that are favorable, the better quality the garment and the fabric will be. So just because something has a higher thread count doesn't automatically mean that it's sensational quality, because then They could have decimated it treating it. You know what I mean? So it really just depends. Exactly this too, because like what you're allowed to say a fabric is, like even like, you know, different blends of silk and all those kind of things that people can still call silk. So not all silk is made the same. That's why I always tell people when it comes to quality of fabrics, it's way more nuanced than anyone thinks. Like it's so much more nuanced than just this is 100% cotton, so this is great. Like it's not. Or there's some people that think because their cotton says it's a high count, like it's heavy, like oh it's like 200 GSM cotton, so it's really quality because the fabric is thick. That doesn't necessarily mean it's good quality. It just means the fabric is thick. That's what it means. Like, and why I'm mentioning that? Let me just explain. Let me expand on that point. Having a thick fabric doesn't necessarily mean that the fabric is better, because you can have a thick fabric all you want, but if it's dyed terribly, the dye is just going to wash off on all your clothes, on your thick high GSM cotton hoodie. The color is just going to run on all your clothes. It's going to stain everything that you sit on. It's going to shrink really easily if you put it in the dryer by mistake, or if you leave it out in heat for too long under the sun. And it's just going to just get damaged so easily. It's going to start fraying. You're going to have, you know, those like annoying frays that happen with like really low quality garments when you wash them too often. They're going to have all those things. And then you'll have someone that has a very high quality cotton that's thinner and less heavy. So you would think that it's less robust because it's thinner and doesn't weigh as much. But because the garment is so good, like quality wise, it frays less. If it's dyed well, it doesn't stain everywhere that you walk. And it actually ends up lasting longer, and it doesn't have a hole in it before the garment that's thicker. You would think that the garment that is thicker wouldn't have a hole as quick because it's thicker, but that's not how it works. And that's what I try to explain to people. Like garment quality is more than just feel how heavy it is. Like it's great quality because it's so heavy. That doesn't mean it's going to be, you know, like really good quality.